Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guests today are Carla and Halley, right?
Halley.
I keep wanting to say Haley, I don't know why, but Halley and Carla, thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I love your podcast, and I believe what stands out to me is how honest and raw it is. So I'm gonna start with the podcast before we go back to how it all started. What made you two decide to start the podcast?
I think it was just because we had a lot of questions upon everyone that was kind of asking us how our relationship was and kind of what we wanted to, or they wanted to have more interactions and know what we were kind of more about. And I had a lot of cross-dressers actually contact me and ask how about to go uh, telling their wife or coming out to someone so that they could kind of live the same lifestyle. So
People that were at a certain crossroads, shall we
Yeah.
say, wanted to know how to take the next step.
Yeah.
And we kind of figured, well, we have a lot of people asking us, and not that we're like that far into this, but we thought, well, we give it our best shot.
Yeah, so what you decided to do it? What was the? Did you kind of have ground rules of things you talk about? Because you just laid out there like this is it and this is who we are.
Yeah, in the beginning, we had a lot of kind of rules and stuff. Like, we didn't want to play separately; we wanted to play together.
No, I mean for the podcast itself
And it
first.
was kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, for the podcast. So
I guess we had general topics that we
Yeah.
thought we could address, and we sort of started with, how did we get started, and what were sort of the issues we ran into, what were the good, what were the bad. And so, I mean, we're living in the lifestyle as we're doing these things, right? So we didn't exactly have, all of our topics lined up as if we were going to go through one thing and lead into the next. That wasn't the plan at all. It was just sort of to enhance others' experiences by our own. And likewise, it's enhancing our experiences too.
yeah, we wanted to kind of showcase what we were doing and stuff, and then if people had questions, then we would kind of answer them more on the podcast instead of like typing everything completely out.
Yeah. A lot of the same questions.
Right,
Yeah.
because if 10 people ask, how did you decide to tell your partner? Then might as well just answer once and then all 10 get shared at the same time rather than sending everybody different emails or stuff. Yeah, makes sense. So and I kind of love the flow of your podcast. It goes from how we basically who you guys are, and then how you started and how you connected. So let's do that. How did it start for you? Let's go way back.
Um, Go ahead.
Yeah.
How did we meet?
Yeah.
Like boy versus girl? Well, we worked together when we were just kids, teenagers working sort of similar jobs, and he asked me out on a date.
And you didn't like it.
And the rest is kind of history, but initially I kind of thought, I don't really know if I like him, but I'll give him a chance.
Yeah, it was years later. Like, we were kind of just friends at the beginning, and years later, we kind of like we grew more together and
Late night
became more friends and stuff.
MSN.
Yeah, old school MSN, and then we just kind of started hanging out. But like, none of this was
Right.
a part of it,
Right.
No.
right? It wasn't until many years later that.
I don't think you were even aware of that.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
wasn't.
Because that's going to be my next question. Like, at what point did cross-dressing become a thing for you, Carla?
So like I had done it like kind of off and on and just like in small spurts throughout like a childhood and like through my teens and then well into my 20s, but like it never really came to anything until like really last year when like I lost my job and I needed to have something that kind of related to myself and something that I wanted to do more than anything else. And it was just kind of a personal like experience. Like I hadn't done it yet to the extent of like this, and which is what I wanted to do ultimately, like way back. And So I kind of confessed to her exactly what I wanted to do, and it wasn't. It was received, but it wasn't like, sh- what what were we going to make it a norm or something like
Yeah,
that?
it was definitely weird because, you know, when we were together and just dating, I mean, I would leave something over there and get changed, and I don't know, leave my bra there or something. And I've always been a bit of a skank, but not with just anybody, but with my husband at that point. So we decided that, you know, it was fine for him to wear something I had left, but it was kind of weird to me at that point because I never heard of a guy wanting to wear
Mm.
women's clothes.
Yeah,
So, you know, over the course of time, I'd forget about whatever clothing item I had left at his place, and
I kind
I'd
of hide
find
it.
it years later when we're cleaning up his, you know, his room at his parents' house, and like, oh, why is this all stretched out? What happened to it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of like I didn't think too much of it at the time. I was like, okay, well, that's his weird thing
Mm.
that he does, but it's not so weird because I've had lots of guys, you know, message me and say, "Wow, you guys have a really unique relationship," and I can't believe how honest and upfront you guys are, and how loving and supportive you are to something that's
Yes.
not a
Yes.
normal thing.
Yes, because you'd been together for how many years now?
This year will be our
If you know,
15th
50,
year. Yeah.
15 together and
Yeah.
married
Sorry,
for
15.
yeah,
10.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you've had 15 years together, total, and you think in 15 years you know the person, you understand the person, but then there are aspects of them that they feel uncomfortable to share, right? So for Carla to share this side of themselves, you've built this, I guess, safe space where the communication is wonderful, right? So we can talk about anything, and it's not like plates are going to be thrown or whatever. Because even though you found it weird, you listened to what Carla had to say and how important it was to them. But what, I guess, you had that experience years ago, but like last year was when you went full on with losing your job and trying to discover yourself. How was that for you? How was that period last year for you, Hallie?
Well, I saw it as a time of new growth for Carla. My husband knows one aspect of his job really well. That's all he's done. And just to kind of keep it generic, it was a management position. So, you know, to come away from that and to lose a sense of yourself because that's what he's known as a career, and you know, to keep everything going for that company through COVID, and you know, to come out on the other side, sorry, we don't need you anymore, goodbye. It was a big fu, and it was a period of self-realization.
By the way, it's okay to say fuck. So
Yeah, it was a big period of realization, I think, just to be supportive because obviously financially, I was
mm,
the lucky one to still be working, but previous year I had lost my job because of COVID. And
mm,
just to be there mentally and emotionally because men very much depend on their careers to suggest who they are quite often. So
With me losing my
mm,
job, it was very much like I didn't know exactly who I was very much anymore. And
mm,
there's always a clawing of this that I wanted to kind of explore, but never really had the time to. And now that I did, it was kind of like I needed to kind of maybe explore it and see exactly
mm,
what it was like. So I did.
yeah, it became sort of an outlet, I guess, for you, really.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like I'm
mm.
so fucking pissed off, but I'm still gonna like blow my load right now.
Yeah. But like,
So, was it sexual right away, or
no. Um,
okay?
in the beginning, it was very much like kind of just the way that I wanted to be, because it was like a release from my male side to another side that I didn't have to be. It was like I could forget everything that like my male side needed to do, like whether it was like paying bills or going to work or the little stresses of the day, and I could come out as being Carla, and Carla doesn't have those stresses. Carla is completely like wants to just go and do and have
Have
fun
fun.
and relax and enjoy herself and stuff. So that's kind of where I went with it. Later on, it went to being sexual because then it was like, well, if I'm going to dress like this, well, girls do other things. So why don't we try
She
those?
learned a lot from me.
Yeah.
We've always
Oh,
had that
I didn't know about that. So hey, Haley, how did that happen?
Sorry, what happened?
Yeah, well, you said Carla learned a lot from you.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, just I've always had a very openness. I guess more so in the last 6 months since joining Fat Life, and just having like this openness about life's short. Frig what everybody else thinks about you or your body or your sexuality, and just do what makes you happy because you, at the end of the day, are the only one that matters. You are a person who needs food, water, pleasure, gratification, those things. And to each individual, those things might be a bit different, but ultimately, I embrace my sluttiness. I call it sluttiness because I really enjoy having good, fun sex.
More primal.
Primal, yes, yes. And so when I was teaching Carla, Carla would come to me initially and say, "Hey, can you do my makeup? Hey, can you make it look like this? Hey, can you give me like your best suggestion about what goes together?" And it was like, "Yes, I will help you with all that. Thanks for coming to me." And then it sort of
Mm.
became like, okay, well, we're ready to have our first threesome. We've always talked about it, never did anything about it, but again, life's
Let's
short.
let's act upon it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
Was it threesome with Carla
A
or?
threesome was with Carla,
Mhm.
myself, and a
Mm.
guy. And so we explored that a little bit, and that was the first time I had gone down on any other guy. It was the first time Carla had ever been going down on a guy, and so I kind of went first just to kind of show her. But Carla, having a penis, also knows what it's like to feel good and be pleased, and so that's a huge skill to have
Mm.
when pleasuring somebody else.
Mm. And what, I guess, mental preparation did you have for that first time? Because you'd been together for years and you'd not been with anyone else. Was there any way you prepared mentally and physically for that first time?
Mentally, me being like this prepares me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm dressed as Carla, I will do anything that like a normal girl will do, or even better.
It's your feminine
It's my
side.
feminine side. But if I'm a guy, it's more nervousness, and I don't do any of that stuff. Like as a guy, I've never actually played with a guy. I've only ever played with a guy
Oh.
as Carla.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's how I prepare myself mentally, and well, physically too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
I don't know for you.
For me, it was sort of okay. Let's approach this with a fun, non-committed sort of. Uh, I don't know what the word is, but just basically, let's go have fun with this potential person and see where things go.
Mm.
As long as the three of us are all having fun, and in particular, you and I are getting what we wanted of this,
Yeah.
then that's the most important
Mm.
thing. And having communication between him and I, or sorry, Carla, she and I, the whole time, and just sort of making sure, are you comfortable with this? What's going on? Like, are you okay with him fucking me? Because you would never see me fuck another guy. And that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and how was that first experience for you? Oh, before that, like how did you, I'm guessing when you as a couple put out like I guess like a personal ad or something saying we want to do this, especially looking for a guy, you must get a lot of replies. How do you select this person, and what made you comfortable with this
Well,
person?
one is their commitment to actually sending us a photo. Yeah, if they don't send us a photo of who they are, then it's a no-go.
We can screen a lot of people that way, just asking for a photo.
Yeah, a lot of people won't send photos, so if they're not going to send a photo, then they're really not committed to anything.
And we're reasonable. I know you don't know us and we don't know you. There is Snapchat, which deletes photos right away. Mm-hmm. So we always sort of, offer a safe place, I guess.
Yeah, and we're discreet as it is. Yeah. Like, we have our own careers, and I don't look like this 99% of the time, and, like, you have a professional career. So it's like we expect the same amount of trust back and forth with people. And then we kind of, like, dive into, like, what are their kinks, and if their kinks kind of match up with our kinks. And then if they still continue carrying on a conversation for a little bit of a good amount of time before we actually want to meet them, then it's actually something that we want to do, because it's not like really like something like bing bang boom, we want to do it right then and there. We're really planning. Sometimes we do, but like we want to kind of plan a little bit of time so that we can get to know the person beforehand. Because we just don't want to have like a random guy show up and just be like, well, this is not the guy that we thought we were going to do.
Yeah, there has to be sort of like a physical connection as well as, sort of on the same page of what you want from each other. And there has to be sort of an attraction there as well, right? So, yeah, it's not just anybody. And it does take a long time to chat with everybody. And usually people kind of screen themselves too. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are just, if you're not going to pick me, then go, they turn a whole other person.
Yeah. They do a 360 on themselves.
So sometimes people...
Oh, wow, that's scary.
A lot of people do it. Yeah. I've had guys where I'm like, I'm not really, like, I can't do it this weekend. Like, it'll have to be a couple of days. And then it's just like, well, fine, then I'll just go somewhere else. And it's like, well, there you go. That's
oh my god!
Not a person I want to play with if you just, right?
Yeah, that's unreasonable.
Exactly. So, like, I want to have like partners that like will want to play with me numerous amounts of times and not just like one time thing. So that's where like some people just screen themselves completely out of there.
And then how was that very first time? I mean, you've been together this long, you've vetted this person, you meet them. How was that experience for you two?
The first time was great. We had a lot of fun. We really enjoyed his company. We had our sexual release at the end was great, and like the sex afterwards for like the next couple of days was like intense.
Mine and Carla's. Well, actually,
Carla
is my husband. Yeah. We had amazing.
So it's like that very first meeting unlocked something for you guys.
Yeah, it just like blew up, and it was like every single day we were having sex right afterwards, and then we were like looking forward to the next week because we were going to invite the same guy over again and see if that was just going to keep going. But the second time was not the same.
So
what changed?
But the second time, we thought, okay, this is really fun. We had such a great time playing with this guy. We'll have him back next week. We already said that we would have him back when he was getting ready to leave. So we kind of agreed to the next weekend. The problem being is that he was more or less into me. He wasn't so much into Carla. So there was
but the person knew you were like a package deal, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I became a third wheel kind of.
Right. I see what you mean. So that's almost kind of the 360 thing you talked about, because the person said I was going to do this, and then they did something else.
Yeah, and that was our first experience with it, and that's kind of like how we learned with other people, right?
But it was also a learning experience for us communicating, because I mean, I didn't really see it. I was sort of like it wrapped up in what was going on, and I was just so fun and excited and enjoying the moment, and not even realizing that Carla was kind of put out. And I felt terrible. I was upset that she was upset. And I was so naive. I even asked this guy to stay and have pizza with us. Like, I friggin' bought him supper before he left.
And I was in a point of it that like I didn't want to play with him no more. I was really annoyed that he was still here, and I just kind of wanted him gone and stuff. But at the same time, I knew that she was having fun, so like I didn't really want to convey that to her and ruin her night over it, right? But at one point, I had to just kind of say like he needs to go. Like he's not here for me. He's here for you.
And that's
He's
Mm.
not
not
an
here
us
for
thing.
us,
Yeah.
right? So like we want to have a us together moment, and it was not being an us together moment.
No. And
Did you have?
yeah,
Yeah.
lost track. I completely lost track and oversight of that because, we're both new to this, and sometimes your ecstasy moments get in the way of judgment calls.
Yeah.
So it was
Mm.
learning.
Hmm. So, did you have rules before that first meet that changed after that first meet?
Oh yeah.
Well, after that, second meet, I guess.
Yeah, and in the beginning we kind of were just like, all right, let's just go with it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like we had a few rules, like we just like she didn't want to get penetrated. We were just gonna kind of blow the guy, and like we were kind of going on with that. And like you never wanted to be penetrated by a guy, right? So, but then
Initially.
on the second account, you wanted to try it, so like we went with it. So like we kind of evolved our like kind of rules of play and stuff. Like now
Hmm.
we actually kind of like playing separately more than anything else. Like we haven't played together for quite a while.
I mean, we played together with our, spouse, but in terms of having sexual adventures, we prefer to be sort of on our own individual accounts. One thing that did change after playing with a couple of those guys that we were talking about is we kind of developed some check-ins with each other, and just to say, hey, do you want a drink? And that was code for, are you doing all right? Or
Get
you
rid
want
of
to?
this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a check-in with Carla. It was a check-in with me just to make sure, because you can't always read faces in a sexual encounter, and there's a lot going on. So it just sort of breaks up and gives a moment of thought. So that's how we did
Mm.
things. Communication.
Yeah, communication.
Communication.
I think just in any relationship in general, communication is key. But when it's something with kinks involved, you even need more communication because what might work today might not work tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So those constant check-ins are really welcome. Yeah. I'll go back to your podcast. There was an episode where you talked about jealousy. Like, was that part of the thing that made you decide to play separately?
No, that was a little bit beforehand, but we had a play partner that was like that was a female. And it was the first time it was we had a female over, and she was very much into Halley, and as like kind of a celebrity type of deal.
She
right?
treated me like I was somebody like crazy. You would have thought I was Lady Gaga or somebody to her. Like she was just really starstruck when she met me, and I just said like, I'm just a normal person. I just I'm on here and I like to post pictures
And then she also came out saying that she really liked Carla and she really liked crossdressers.
yeah.
So it was kind of like a bing bang moment of like, yay, we finally found a girl that actually is a unicorn.
After looking for months,
For
we have been
months.
probably 6 months looking for somebody.
So we invited her over, and it was kind of like a last minute type of deal, but
it
worked out, and I had got to play with her, and I think it was kind of like our second encounter, like type of situation that had happened, where it was like really like Hallie became the third wheel in that moment, because I was really having fun with her, but like we weren't really, and we kind of like miscommunicated on it. And like we tried to get her to like I invited Hallie into like kind of playing with her and got her naked and like got her to try to play with the other girl and stuff, but you weren't really feeling it.
Well, I was new to playing with another girl. I had never played, just been sort of curious, didn't really know what I was doing. So I sort of backed off and just kind of watched for a bit. And then when I was invited over, I came over and kind of did my thing. But the whole time through, I wasn't really vibing and wasn't really feeling this person. And I was happy that Carla was having her moment. But it lost its fun really quick for me because honestly, just this jealous feeling came over me. I became quite emotional. I was just sitting there, sort of like letting them have at it. I was just sort of sitting on my phone, like, oh God, when does this end? I was just chatting with a friend on Snapchat. And I said, he kept asking, "Is everything okay? Is everything okay?"
Mm.
Like my friend on Snapchat, and then Carla the same way, just checking in with me. Are you sure you're okay? Like we're just having fun. And then she said the same thing. The girl that was playing with Carla said, "Oh, it's I'm not stealing your husband. I promise. Like I'm just here to have fun. It's just fun, consensual sex. I promise you. I came here to play with you." And I mean, there's logistics, and then there's just the emotional that happen. And so
Mm.
I reacted very emotionally to this because obviously it's hard seeing somebody have sex with your husband ultimately. And so it was tough. I just felt really just disgusted with myself over the feelings of jealousy. It's not like I didn't know what was
Mm.
going to happen. But at the same time, it was sort of like okay, we can't play together with a girl because I become this green monster. I cannot do that to you.
Mm.
I want you to have fun if I'm out having fun with my guys, but I can't be in the same room.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Um, did you in that situation? Was it more the situation, the vibe you had with the person, or like that you've not had an experience with someone with similar genitals? I guess.
Yeah, I think it was all the above. It was new.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was new
okay.
to me. I wasn't, confident and sassy like I normally am with my guys. And I know I can pleasure a guy with my eyes friggin' closed. Um, not bragging, humble bragging. Um, but I did feel like there just wasn't that vibe with the person initially. Even when she was in our house and we were just kind of talking and connecting, I knew she'd come a long way to come over to play with us sort of last minute.
Mm.
So I wanted that to happen. It's not that I didn't. It's just the jealousy that came out is emotional and not
Mm.
always under control.
How did you like? Did you have a? I guess I'm gonna talk like a freaking secret agent. Do you have a debrief session afterwards?
But
Did you talk about it?
yeah,
Always.
we talk about it all the time. Everything. Even if we're playing separate, and like when someone comes home, like we will tell
We'll usually just say,
everything, what
"How
kind
was
of
your
what
night?"
happens. Yeah. And it's either good or bad, or
Yeah.
like we will go into details with each other of like what we had experienced or what we might want to try with each other or something like that. But
Often it's like a late night.
yeah,
One of us is coming home, the other one's home with the kids and kind of falling asleep on the couch. So it's like, "Oh, hey, you're home. How was your night?" Eh.
and it's good, and it's like yeah,
Yeah, and then we'll talk in the morning, usually,
yeah, and
when
then yeah, and
we
then
have personal time to do
yeah,
that without kids
Mm.
interrupting.
Okay, so you had that moment, and then you decided it's better if you play separately. Carla first. What do you look for when you're looking for a person, and then Hallie, same thing.
So when I'm kind of looking for a person, same things like what I said before was like they have to have a face pick. They have to be able to talk for a good little bit of time to kind of get to know me, and I get to know them. I usually like to go out, so usually if they can host, that's a big one for me. So that I can actually get out of the house and like actually kind of experience like
A date.
a date, right? And then after that, it's kind of like everything that kind of everyone else kind of looks for is like the attractiveness. Do they look good? Do they have a nice body? Do they have a nice sized dick? Do they actually know what they're doing when they want to play? Do they have like a little bit of kinks that kind of align with my own kinks, right? Like all those type of above things are the things that I'm kind of looking for with a person to kind of really experience my most highest sexual content that I want to have, right?
Mm.
And I find a lot of the guys they'll say what they want to do and stuff like that, but whether or not they can actually like fulfill that is a big other deal.
Ah.
Like I got ones that are like that they're like, oh, I want to tie you up and stuff, and it's like, well, that's kind of something that I really like, but at the same time, when I get there and it's just like, yeah, I just want you to blow me, it's like it's not what I came here for.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm. Mm. How do you handle that?
Usually I kind of just go with it since it's like it's at the moment, right? There's really nothing like I'm here, I'm dressed. It takes a good long time for me to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just go with it. Usually the next day when I actually talk to Hallie and I tell her like what had happened, it's kind of like, nah, I'm not gonna see that guy again. Or yeah, I had a
Mm,
lot of fun. I really can't wait for this guy to come back, right? I
mm,
see a guy constantly. His name, well, I just call him B, but he's fulfills everything that I kind of like and stuff so far. But there's still things of the aspects that like I wish he would do. Like he just not really into the whole kink stuff, but like he's into like the full like throwing me around and like treating me completely like a girl and stuff like that. So that's like the great thing about it. So I get the most
mm.
sexual experience from him right now.
Okay, and Haley, like, what do you look for in the guys you're with, and how is the experience playing solo for you?
So I guess what I look for with my play partners is just a good flowing conversation. I tend to get a lot of guys who are just looking for a host or are just looking for a quick lay or looking to cheat on their partners. And so I find that, it's a little bit more difficult navigating the scene because there's so many guys out there that just, they're desperate. Let's say it. And fewer women on there. And I think, you have to be kind of choosy because it's your safety for one. And just there's a few things that I don't tolerate. So one is that I will start a conversation or say whatever back to a partner, and I don't just message back the ones that say, "Hey, how are you?" That's too generic for me. If it's somebody that's put some thought into a conversation, then I'll write them back and I'll say something in response to what they've said. And then I might let that conversation go a little bit so that I just check and see, are they really truly interested if I just kind of drop the line. So then I know that tells me, one, are they committed to, kind of saying when they're going to play. And it weeds out of a lot of those people that are just not appropriate, shall we say. I always ask somebody's marital status because I'm forthcoming about mine and I want to know what theirs is too. Thirdly,
Mm,
I make sure I know what their sexual history is because are they laying every girl in town without a condom,
Mm.
or are they actually committed to keeping themselves healthy? That's a huge one because you don't want to be picking up anything. So
right.
there's lots of things, but also, what is the vibe like? What is the chemistry like in your conversations? I look for sort of equal back and forthness. So it's not just all about me being pleasured. It's not all about them getting what they want. It's a mutual two-way street.
Mm,
And if I come across a guy who doesn't make me feel good, that is the end of them. I am here for a pleasurable time. I'm here for fun. I'm not here to
wow.
look after a man child. I'm not here to take on somebody else's problems and baggage. And
And the only baggage.
that weeds a lot of them out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, when you said if you don't have a good time, I wasn't sure what you meant, so thanks for adding that. So when now your, I guess, would you say your marriage is open, or what would you call your status together?
It's slightly open. Like like we're not gonna have someone come in and write in.
I disagree.
Okay,
Go ahead.
but for for me, like if someone contacts me and it's like wants to play with me, I still check in with her,
Mm-hmm.
right? I tell her about the guy and who I'm going to see and things like that. So I don't know. What would you say it would be?
I don't like the term open marriage because our marriage is between you and me.
Yeah,
Um, the adventurous, fun sex that is no strings attached and just sex, that's outside. But that's like going to McDonald's for a snack. That's like instead of making your snack at home. To
yeah.
me, our marriage is you and me. We've built a foundation. We have a family together. Financially, we are, together on that. And what we do, who we do on the other side of things is between you and I,
Yeah.
really. So it's making sure that each
Right.
other gets what we need, because we've both agreed that, our marriage is kind of boring sex wise once you've experienced the other side, I guess.
15 years of the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
you kind of know your partner inside and out. You know how to pleasure them. You know what they don't like. You know what they do like. And honestly, to take it to other heights, I find that you need to have a different play partner involved sometimes. There's a play partner that might enhance things. There's a play partner that you might go back and say, hey, I really didn't like what they had to do to me today. I really like when you do that.
Mm.
So there's good and bad in
Mm.
that.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, do you kind of have, and this is for the both of you, different people that meet different needs or different kinks? And what are some of these kinks?
Yeah, so like, well, B, he fulfills it based on me being like a girl and stuff, and he treats me like a girl, and like I get to, but we don't really have like a relationship type of aspect, like where I go over and like I'll cuddle him or anything like that. Pretty much just go over, we have sex, I say goodbye, and I leave, right? Um, my cuddleness and relationship is with Hallie, so I look for the intimate relationships with her, right, over anyone else. Um, I have a few girls that are looking to play with me, and like when I asked or when they approached me, and I said yes, and if you want to play with me, like here's my wife's like
Fat life.
FetLife account. You can message her on there, and she'll tell you yes or no if we can play together. And it's been yes. So
That
like
puts them
yeah,
higher up in our
but
books,
that
too.
puts them up higher in the books. Like they have a little bit more of a
Respect.
trust and
Yeah.
respect. Yeah.
Right, right,
And I
right. How do you decide who you say yes to, though,
Sorry.
Holly?
Oh, well, I guess for me, yeah, I definitely go for somebody who's good looking, and I mean that's individual to each person. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the respectfulness has to be there, and the wanting to do things, and the fun of it all has to be there for me. Not gonna lie, I'm into guys who are big and buff, and tend to be a bit of a dom, or at least not like don't know their way around the bedroom, because that to me is a total like deal breaker. I've dealt with a lot of
Mm.
that, and so typically I go for an older guy, like my age or a bit older, just because I don't want to be a
Mm.
teacher in the bedroom. I like what I like. Ah, gosh.
And then kink wise, what are some of the kinks you look for with your
Yeah,
different
I
partners?
think just having good fun sex is always a kink to me, and relatable to everybody. I mean, to me, I'm not into like ropes and chains, and sometimes yeah, sometimes I could be, but it's more of a rarity with me that I'm into that kind of thing. I do enjoy water sports.
Mm.
I do enjoy like oral pleasure both ways. I just enjoy making sure that the two of us are having fun in the bedroom, and like Carla already said, like we divulge everything to tell what we've done, and we also recognize our partner's jealousies, insufficiencies. I don't know what to call it, but basically just making sure that they know that at the end of the day, you're the only one that I love, and you're
Yeah.
the only one that can intimately
Mm.
pleasure me on that emotional and spiritual and physical level. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And Kala?
I'm more like a toy. I like to be played with. So like I'm into like a lot of kinks. So like I like being tied up. I like toys being used on me. I like to be the center of attention. I just there's kind of like I think it's more of the male side of me that's kind of like because like I like doing that stuff as a male. I'm kind of looking for that stuff to be experienced to me. So like
Mm.
I kind of like everything. Like I'd like anything to be kind of done to me, and it's kind of the fun stuff. And the one thing I will not do is like needles. God no. Like I am definitely afraid of needles. Fuck that.
Yeah, there's some hard limits that
Like,
we both
yeah.
agree on.
There's definitely some hard limits. Like, and usually like,
Mhm.
but the one of the big ones for me is humiliation. I don't like humiliation at all. But like I like being, if we're in the mood and we're in there and like being called a slut or something like that, that's perfectly fine. Or like calling me a sissy, like when we're playing, that's fine. But like when I have a guy like first out message me and like and is like you sissy slut, like I want you to suck my cock right away. It's just like
Degrading.
no, yeah, like
Or calling you a
Yeah.
him.
oh yeah, that's a
Which
big
is
one too.
sometimes
Yeah.
hard because I just, I've done that too. Slip of the tongue because you are my husband.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, usually like pronouns are a big one too. Like if I get called a guy in there, like it's kind of like that's kind of it. You brought me out of the situation that I put myself in, and now it's kind of you've ruined that fantasy of mine. So it's just I usually move on from a guy like that.
Well, let's go back to the podcast. How do you decide when, like, how you release your episodes? You took a little bit of a break. When is it going to come back?
I actually recorded 2 episodes a couple days ago, based on an experience that I had over the last I think 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
That I had.
Yeah,
I had
such a great time.
I had a really bad week. So one of them is kind of like a really like an FU to one of the guys that I kind of seen, and like I told about the experience. And then the other one was kind of like an experience that I was supposed to have with a bunch of people, and I kind of just made it my own thing and learned that way. Like because like I want to play with other people and stuff, and I want to make friends and have people like enjoy my company, and I want to enjoy their company. But like it's still the committal thing. Like if they're not going to commit to it, it's like, well, fine, I'm just going to go do myself, right? So I was supposed to go with in one of the episodes that's coming out. I was supposed to go with a play partner to a place called Sea Dogs over in Halifax, and I kind of wanted to be a dom at that point, so I was going to bring him as like kind of a submissive to this place, and I was going to collar him and everything, and like kind of fulfill a huge fantasy for him. And he got so nervous and like was going back and forth on text, like I don't know if I can do this. I'm super nervous. I literally eventually just messaged him and just said, "You can't go then. Like I'm telling you that you can't go because you're just not in the right frame of mind to go and have fun. And I'm not babysitting you the whole time. Like I want to turn you into a slave a bit, but I don't want to like full out like look after you every friggin' need, right?" So I decided to go myself over there, which was super nerve wracking because I'm now by myself in an area that I'm not familiar with. But I made it my own thing, and it was still fun.
Yeah, it was a learning experience.
When as Carla?
Yeah, that's Carla. Yeah. Okay. Which was funny because it's like an all male bathhouse, and I'm the only one that's dressed up like a girl.
So, well, you're now playing individually and everything's great. Do you see a situation where you might play together again in the future?
Yeah, we've talked about it. There's one of the guys that that Allie's seeing right now that is kind of interested in the both of us and might turn into something. And we never know. There might be a group thing that throws the two of us together or something like that, like a swingers group or something. But we might try. But it's all depends upon the situation. It's hard to see in the future what exactly is going to happen.
You can probably expect some podcasts to be coming out though, because we just kind of do them as we feel like we have a topic to chat about. And so, we just have been really busy with work lately and family life. And it's just something we got away from doing. Not that we don't enjoy, but just sometimes life takes priority. So, yeah.
Well, Carla and Halley, this has been an amazing chat. Actually, I have one last question for you guys. How do you have the work, home, everything, and then you have this. How do you split the two?
So I usually play at nighttime. I don't have time during the day. I work
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5 every day, so I don't get to play until later on. We both look after kids. For myself, it's usually evenings that I get to play with someone, or it's on the weekends when kind of a grandparent has taken both kids, so that we actually have some alone time. And like they think that
Mm-hmm.
we're just kind of like spending time together, watching a movie or something like that. But
We do.
we do,
Mm.
but at the same time, we don't. We go and do our own thing if we really want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, is more.
I guess for me, it's more about, I find somebody who can work with my schedule. It is hard to balance life and work, and then you throw in this other aspect of yourself, and that needs time and attention. And to me, it's part of self care to make time for this. Um,
Mm.
when I am not feeling it, I don't have to do it. But when I am, I quite
Mm.
enjoy taking time to make myself dolled up and get ready for some hot sex. And it's fun. I will say that my playtimes are usually in the morning, between dropping kids off at school and me going to work later in the day. Sometimes I will play in the evening, but it's sort of like, oh, are you going to be home tonight, dear? Because I'm going to go take the kids out. Or
Mm.
take kids out. I'm going to go out and play myself. Oh, gosh.
Oh man, Halley and Carla, thanks. I really enjoyed the podcast. I can't wait for new episodes, and I'm really enjoying these chats. I have a lot more things I want to talk about, so I'd love to invite you guys to come back for a part two for
Cool.
sure.
Perfect.
No
Would
problem.
love to.
Thanks for coming to the sanctuary again.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.